Close your eyes. I know we just met, but trust me. Imagine you're riding a horse on the beach. You can hear the ocean waves crashing. The wind is blowing through your hair. Now, imagine you are on a cross-country road trip with your best friends. You have your feet resting on the dashboard, your favorite song is blaring, you have the windows down. Next scene. You're sitting all alone, but you're surrounded by people. You have your passport in your hand, and they just call for your flight to board. A flight headed to a country that you've never been to before. Whenever you're ready, open your eyes. And welcome back to Newark, Delaware. The imaginary experiences we just went on certainly fit the criteria for what we call an adventure. Fun, new, a little risky. I've had experiences like these. I've met family in Ireland. I've walked the city streets in France where my mom was born. And I spent 2 weeks backpacking in Maine. But none of those experiences will measure up to my involuntary adventure that I realized I was on when I was 16. Calling this experience an adventure might be a little unconventional. I don't think of doctor's visits, hospitals, and treatment as a fun, grand tale, do you? And while signs and symptoms of my disease appeared as early as 5th grade, it took until my junior year of high school to get diagnosed. And before I go any further, I would like to pause because parts of my story might cause certain thoughts or feelings to arise or be triggered, and I want to remind you to prioritize your well-being in all things. Now, some of you might be wondering, what exactly was I diagnosed with? And you might be disappointed to hear that the illness I have is major depressive disorder and anxiety. In fact, hearing that might have even felt like a letdown. To be honest, I was a little upset about it myself, but maybe that disappointment, it's just depression, is part of the problem as we continue to lose both youth and adults to suicide connected to mental illness. If you were to tell me 5 years ago that I would be up on this stage, I could not have imagined it happening. Not because I have a fear of public speaking, but because I couldn't imagine myself living for that long. In preparation for this talk, I looked through some of my old journal entries, field notes, as an adventurer might call them. Some of the highlights include, I'm useless. I have nothing special to offer. I hate myself. I'm lazy and pathetic. Just make it stop. I deserve to die. Together, we just shared a moment of what living with depression can be like. Did you feel the way that the vibe in our room shifted? Can you imagine living with thoughts like those every day, every hour, and every minute from the one person that you can't get away from? It's a lot to handle. And for me, on October 14th, 2013, it became too much to handle, and I tried to take my life. Why? Why were those thoughts even there? Why was a 4.0, highly involved, award-winning student from a loving family thinking about suicide? During my time here at UD, I've been hired as a peer mentor and an orientation leader. I'm a sorority woman, a Tier 4 student of the Blue Hen Leadership Program, a site leader for UD's Alternative Spring Break Service Program, a Dean's List student, and named one of the College of Education's Woman of Promise. Overachiever, perfectionist, anxious, depressed. It's a potentially lethal combination, yet one our society tends to encourage, misunderstand, and overlook. So much so that back in high school, when I told one of the interns working at the mental hospital about my positive reputation, she asked me, "So why are you here?" And at the time, I didn't know why or what to tell her, but now I do. I'm human, and I'm sick. The chemical imbalance in my brain didn't care about my achievements. The chemical imbalance in my brain was not my fault. Fortunately now, even if I tried, I could not put myself back in the mental state that I was in years ago. Depression is not something you can will yourself into or out of. Sadness, yes, absolutely. We can all feel grief and despair at times, but depression, that prevents you from feeling anything. It was like I had a brick house resting on top of me at all times. As an able-bodied 16-year-old, the idea of getting up to brush my teeth in the morning seemed as impossible a task as if I was to go out that door right now and run an ultra-marathon in my dress pants and heels. I thought the severity of my depression would last forever. I don't feel like that anymore because I've lived to know that it won't. But that doesn't mean this adventure story is over. This illness is still something that I live with, but over time, with hard work and the support of the amazing people around me, I was able to remove that house, brick by brick, and build a new foundation. I'm so grateful to have survived, but there are still many out there trekking on, wondering if there even is a way out. If you are one of those people that has also had this adventure plot written into your story, remember that you did not ask for this. It's not your fault. Let go of any feelings of guilt or shame and let others in. This is not an illness that can be beaten in solitude. I can't give you an exact day or time when you'll start to feel okay again. But I can offer you hope that if you just keep going, it will be enough. And now, if you're anything like me, you won't believe me. You don't think you have what it takes. You don't think you're strong or good or worthy enough. But this life is your right, and you have to protect it. Do not cut your adventure story short. There's more to this trip than you know, and I'm living proof that there is a better part. Sometimes I'll cry tears because I'm so relieved to be happy, to be alive, and to be able to feel. There are positive experiences out there and people that you need to meet and that need to meet you. And those truths apply even if you don't personally have a mental illness. We all have these seemingly random combinations of journeys and experiences in our lives that may or may not be in our control. Our adventure stories, both good and bad, are all different, but we're all human. And it blows my mind that it seems like in one summer, we were all able to get behind ditching the straws and saving the sea turtles, yet we are rarely educated and empowered with the actions we can take to save ourselves. I don't have the ultimate answer that will make the suicide rate 0%. I wish I could pull people back from that ledge of feeling like they had to end it so we could stop losing the ones that we love. And while I don't have the ultimate answer, imagine if we didn't wait until someone was in the hospital to look them in the eye and say, I care about you. Your life is important. Please don't end it. I want you and I need you to live. And tell them this not just on the bad days, but on the days that also appear to be good. And I'm not just saying to put a vague post on social media that says, you are loved or you matter. Call them and tell them. Tell them when you see them in person, write them a letter, text them, direct message them, because there may be over 100 posts and videos out there about mental illness. But unless if you do something after watching, it doesn't matter. And I just wasted all of your time. But if you tell 3 people that you're important to me, you make a difference in my life, and thank you for being you, you might just save them. You might just buy them some time, and you might not even know it. If every single day you talk to a new set of 3 people, that is 1,095 individuals a year that you personally have connected with and potentially saved. Even if it's the cashier at the grocery store, we can change, thanks, I appreciate it, to thanks, I appreciate you. And it's also okay if the day comes when one of your 3 people is yourself. Sometimes it's the adventures that we don't ask for that we learn the most from, and we must honor the role that we play in each other's lives. If we start treating people like people and this illness like an illness, together we can make 2019 the first year since 1999 that the suicide rate decreases. Let's make those calls and tell those people. Thank you for listening, and thank you for living.